Hmm. All right. Let's see what this button does. Hello. Hello. Party people. What's up, party people? It's your boy, MC Popsicle. And today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite characters in any movie.
Predator.
The first Predator movie came out in 1987, and it was nuts. It had Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it was about a bunch of tough military guys getting slaughtered in a jungle by a killer alien. I love it.
But before that, in 1979, there was a movie called Alien.
Where there was a bunch of people trapped on a spaceship, and this killer alien came and was eating them all, and it was nuts. So, they decided to combine both of those into Alien vs. Predator. We have with us today, Ian White.
He was the Predator in Alien vs. Predator and Alien vs. Predator Requiem.
He was also a White Walker and a giant in Game of Thrones, and he was also one of the engineers in Prometheus. So I am so excited to talk to him.
Incoming transmission.
Yeah, put him through.
Hello.
How you doing, my friend?
Very well. How are you?
Doing great. I am so excited to talk to you. I've been doing some research, and I watched Alien vs. Predator again last night, and that was a great. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was kind of an entry. It's kind of turned into an entry-level monster movie for kids. My son loves it. He's 11 years old, and all his friends are watching it now, which is kind of weird.
I loved it. I wanted to show you this. I picked these up a couple days ago. Have you seen these? Batman versus Predator?
No.
I want to send you one of these because there's a whole series of Predator versus Batman.
Are they new or?
They've been around for a while. From what I can tell, I think they're from like the 90s, but they're very, very cool.
All right.
I thought that was just off the charts.
I haven't seen,
I'm gonna have to send you one of them. But so what we normally do when we start off is I wanted to ask you what your favorite movie ever that you're not in would be.
North by Northwest.
North by Northwest. I don't think I've seen that. Like, what is that? What is it? What's it about?
It's a classic Hitchcock thriller. I'm a huge fan of Hitchcock. Who's such an incredible filmmaker. It's just one of those movies that really, every time it's on TV, I make a point of stopping whatever it is I'm doing and watching it. And if I use that as a definition of what my favorite movie is, I suppose it's difficult to choose just one, because there are all sorts of movies that I make a point of stopping and watching when they're on TV. The Devil Wears Prada, another example. You might find that a strange taste, but it's absolutely brilliant. And every time I stop what I'm doing and I watch it.
I need to see that. Everybody has loves that movie. I haven't seen that either. I need to look into that. Like, Hitchcock is great, though. I love, thrillers and stuff like that. But yeah, those are awesome. So you started out as a basketball player, and from what I've read, a really good basketball player in, was it England?
I'd love to know what you've been reading about me. Oh, yeah, I was. I played internationally, and even by my own admission, I worked very, very hard to be mediocre. I was very naive enough to consider that the NBA might be in my future, and it wasn't. But I played internationally for a number of years, mostly in Europe.
Oh, well, from what I've read of what you've done, I would much rather do the things you've done than play basketball. So you went from basketball into stunt work. How'd that happen?
Well, actually, to be fair, I went from basketball to creature performance.
Oh,
You know, because my characters are largely defined by their action, and because I'm 7 feet tall, it's very, very hard to find a stunt double. So I found myself from very early on doing a lot of my own action. And it was by virtue of doing this and gaining the trust of the stunt coordinators that I was working with that I have from time to time been asked to double other people, but not very often, and only, very, very rare occasions.
what's the most dangerous thing you think you've done doing a movie? Most likely.
Most dangerous thing I've done in the movie. I don't really know. Booking a holiday, probably. No, there was some previs action sequences that we shot for Solo, where we were on top of an articulated lorry going up and down a runway at 60 miles an hour, and we were just basically surfing the top of this lorry. That was quite dangerous.
Wow, that's crazy. So you've done a lot of like monsters and stuff like that, and really good ones, like super proper, intense monsters. And I'm an actor, and I wonder, how do you get in the frame of mind for doing those type of characters? What's your process to become a predator or like a White Walker or something like that?
Well, the process for playing in my opinion, the process for playing a non-human character is exactly the same as the process for playing a human character. First of all, I try and find something human in the character. I never talk about them as monsters or as aliens or whatever else they are, because the first person I have to talk to about them is me. So I have to articulate what this character is doing to myself, first of all, to understand what he's doing and maybe what he's thinking. So I try and humanize it. To use the Predator as an example, I didn't refer to him, I didn't think of him as an alien or as a monster. I referred to him as a warrior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
monsters, aliens don't, but warriors do exist. So that was the first step in articulating the character to myself. He's not a monster, he's a warrior.
So, as far as Predator, I watched that last night, so I'm thinking about that a lot. What did you do? Any research on that type of alien? Do you know a lot about that type of alien, where they're from and what they're doing? I like to fight, and that they have some sort of ethics code, because I noticed when he picked up that guy that had cancer, he wouldn't kill him. And he did kill him, but after he let him go first because he saw that he was sick, and and then he let him go. And then also he kind of befriended that woman because he seemed like he respected her. So it seems like they have some type of ethics system that they run on or something like that.
Yes, going back to what I said about being a warrior, it made sense to give them a code of conduct. They weren't just mindless, bloodthirsty beasts. They had a code of ethics. They had been through. Imagine what a samurai warrior goes through, to reach the peak of his performance, his existence. The training, the sacrifice, the dedication. I imagined that these guys had been through all of that. And this was their final rite of passage. So it made sense to consider them in those terms, and the situations that they were going through. It was there were sound choices for these characters.
Yeah, it made me like them a lot. Like I thought that was really cool that they did that. It added a lot more humanity to the character, that they were like that. I thought that was very, very interesting that they let that guy go because he was sick. I was like, I thought that was neat. But so what was the costume like? What did it feel like when you're wearing that? Was it like heavy, or was it comfortable, or awful?
Well, yeah, it's all these things. It's hot, it's heavy, it's often uncomfortable. Although it's it's the weight of it that's uncomfortable. It's not the actual costume. It's a bespoke piece. But these things are the thoughts of the actor, not the thoughts of the character.
Right.
So when you're there doing it, the only thing you're really concerned about is delivering the performance, delivering the character.
That was another thing I wanted to ask you about. So from what I've read, the aliens that you were fighting ended up being like 20 different things. Not 20, but like it was like a puppet, it was like human, it was a CGI sometimes. So what was the choreography? That seems like that is just madness to do choreography for something like that.
Well, the choreography differed from day to day depending on what we were doing. Yes, sometimes the only thing I had in my hand was an alien leg. There's a scene where I have to spin around and throw the alien 10, 20 yards towards the camera, and most of it was done in post-production. But I still had something to act with, because it had to be choreographed with the explosions in the sets.
Yeah.
If you remember the scene where I'm spinning around and I've got the alien by the leg, and his head crashes into the pillar of the set, and then crashes into another pillar of the set. The set pieces were exploding, so I had to choreograph my movements with the explosions from the special effects team.
Good grief. Yeah, that sounds really hard, because the more I read about it, I was like, this thing was so many different things. Like I can only imagine like fighting with like a puppet, or like fighting with no one at all, and just kind of, yeah, where is he over there? But that's great.
Stuff like that is really fun, because those are the iconic scenes in the film.
It looked great. I thought it looked really, really good. Like all the effects work was on point. I thought it was amazing. Also, could you see at all? Because it looked like you could not the way you acted like you could see, but like from the costume, could you see through the helmet and stuff very well? Or was it like sunglasses, or what?
The visor of the helmet used to mist up in about 10 seconds. So we used the anti-fog spray that motorcycle riders use on their crash helmets, but again, it didn't really work that well, because the amount of moisture that I'm creating breathing inside the helmet, it just misted up the visor almost instantaneously. So it had to come off every take and be wiped clean.
Yeah.
For the sequel, we replaced the visor. I say we. I had nothing to do with it. The visor was replaced with a very, very fine mesh, and it still looks like a visor, but it's breathable.
That's much better, I'm certain. Were you wearing So you weren't wearing the mask of the face under the helmet. Then you would not be able to see anything.
No, once again, it's the the magic of movie making. There's the mask, and if the camera sees the face, then I have to wear the head. But if the camera is only seeing the mask, then there's a big hole underneath where my face is.
Well, good, because that seems like that would be really hard otherwise. Also, so when you took the mask off and you can see the little like pincer things, was somebody like controlling those like a puppet or something or were you controlling that, or was someone else?
I don't control it. No, those are controlled via the remote puppeteers. A very, very skilled, award-winning team of puppeteers and special effects technicians, and we had to choreograph our movements. So they had to choreograph their facial expressions with my movements, and I had to choreograph my movements with their facial expressions. And we got to a point where we would anticipate exactly what needed to be done.
It looked so cool. I love the face of the Predator. That is just like the neatest looking alien ever. I love it. I thought like when I was a very little kid, I saw the first Predator, and when he first takes the mask off, I was like, whoa. So it's very cool to be able to ask you this stuff, because I've been thinking about this stuff literally for like 20 years. I've been so whenever I was like write down my questions for this, I was like, I can go all day. I have so many questions about this. Like when you go invisible, is it a different costume, or are they just using effects on top of your normal costume?
No, that's all done in post. It's an effect that's done after the effect.
Because used to, in the old Predator, they would wear like a red suit. It was like, it looked like Predator, but it was like completely red, and they would use that to project. But I'm sure there's a lot better effects and stuff now. But I wondered about that.
Yeah. I don't know a great deal about the effects that they used in the original. But it's such an iconic character, which I guess is the reason why it spawned so many sequels and spin-offs, etc. It's one of the most recognizable sci-fi characters ever invented, and I never, it always makes me smile when I get to talk about it, because I don't live my life waking up every morning and punch the air and say, "Woohoo! I was the Predator." I just life. And it's it's the only time I'm reminded of it is when I talk to people.
That's crazy. I like that. One more thing. I have one more question about this. What is the clicking sound? Do you know what they use to make that sound?
I don't know. That's a very good question. It's one of the questions I should have asked the sound engineers, but no, I have no idea how it is invented or how it was derived.
Yeah, because when I was watching it last night, I was like, what is that? Because it sounds familiar, but also not familiar. So I'm imagining that they just got some kind of regular sound and then just amped it up or did something crazy to it. Because I was just wondering about that. Also, where did you guys shoot the movie?
AVP was shot almost entirely in Prague.
Oh, was that so with the pyramid, was that just different sound stages? They didn't really build an entire pyramid, I'm imagining.
They built an entire pyramid. Yeah, it was like 5 stories high. It filled this warehouse.
Wow,
That's enormous.
Crazy. Were the rooms inside of it, or were those separate?
No, they were all separate sets. But when we shot the scenes on top of the pyramid, it was a massive set.
That's crazy. And you were all the Predators,
right? There were 3 main characters, and there's flashback scenes, and we had a couple of guys as body doubles and a stunt double, and sometimes I had to be in 6 places at once. There were body doubles and hand doubles and stunt doubles, and even a 6-inch high miniature that was used.
Wow. So did you do some where you were composited into, like, because some of the time y'all are like walking together. Are those all you at the same time, or did they use multiple people?
No, I had help for those those kind of scenes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had colleagues.
How did they pick you to do that? Because like, if they're like, okay, we need some predators, and you're gonna be all of them, you must have really impressed them for them to be like, no, not anybody else, just this guy to be all the predators. Like, how did that come about?
My audition, oh my God, it seems like such a long time ago now. There was no acting involved in my audition. It was a very, very hot day in a small studio near in central London. And I had a wetsuit and a thick woolen balaclava helmet, and then a mock-up of the Predator head, which had big, thick black ropes as dreadlocks, and then a Predator helmet over the top of that. And the casting director just said, "Okay, start running." And about 45, so I just ran around in circles in the studio for about 40 odd minutes, and very occasionally threw some shapes, did some posing as she was giving me some direction. And after about 45 minutes, she said, "Okay, you can stop now." And she said, "How was that?" And I said, "Well, I'd be lying if I said it was easy. It wasn't easy, but I can do it."
Then they were like, "Okay, you're the Predator."
The whole thing was videotaped, and the following day I met the director, Paul Anderson. And then it was about 2 weeks later that I met Tom Woodruff Jr. and Alec Gillis, who were the creature designers. It was only about 2 weeks after that, so the whole process took about, well over a month. Then about 2 weeks after that I received a phone call from the producer offering me the part.
Wow.
It wasn't an instant process by any stretch of the imagination.
You seem like a really nice person. You don't seem like a like a murdering alien. So you must have done a really good job, because you sold me on it the whole time. I was just like that. You did a great job, and you were the engineer from Prometheus, also.
That's correct. Yes.
Did you come at that differently than you would the Predator? Because they're more like people types, right?
Yes. In terms of the engineer, you know, he had more in common. He's the driver. He had more in common with the character that was played by Idris Elba than he had with any of the, you know, the doctors or scientists or other characters in the story. He was just a grunt.
Mm-hmm. So they were like proto-humans, basically. They're the ones that made all the different races of aliens, right?
But if you remember the scene right at the beginning where the guy sacrifices himself, makes the ultimate sacrifice to basically seed life to the planet, so to speak. In the original script, that scene was much, much bigger. There were these sort of monk-type characters clad in black robes, and there were other characters who were sort of sending their colleague off on this, this grand sacrificial journey. And because the whole thing was due to be shot on top of a mountainous waterfall in Iceland, they decided to cut the whole thing down and only have one guy.
That was my favorite part of the whole movie. I thought that was so neat and such a cool question to be asked, like how everything came about and stuff. I thought that was the most cool and most like creative part of it. I wanted to see more of that. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted from Prometheus. If they had just stuck with those guys the entire time, I would have like absolutely loved that. I thought they were very interesting. And also, you were a White Walker in Game of Thrones.
Oh, I started off as a White Walker in Series 1. And then in Series 2, I played the Mountain. And in Series 3, the Giants appeared, and I started playing the Giant characters. And I think there were 3 or 4 Giant characters, some of which were dead Giant characters.
That's crazy. So they were like White Walker giants?
Yes, giant whites.
Good Lord. How did you enjoy that? Which character did you like being the most in Game of Thrones?
I really enjoyed the character One the most. It was the first time where we see one of these semi-savages display anything approaching humanity. Displaying anything that closely resembled a human story arc. So it was a real joy to bring that to life. In the context of being one of these savage wildlings.
I know One. He was like the last known living giant in the show. And he was in like one of the biggest battles in the show too. That is so crazy that you got to be him. He was awesome.
As an actor, I've been in a few movies and TV shows, and I'm still kind of young in the acting game, and I know a lot of actors that will be watching this. What is some advice you would give to someone that is wanting to get into that field?
Be prepared for the long game, and enjoy the process. It's a long game. Don't expect to be famous overnight or have success overnight, but enjoy the process. And you can read all you want about, acting techniques, etc., etc. Just remember that the average man in the street doesn't get up in the morning and say, how will I act today? They're just going about their daily lives.
Right. And I have one more very important, very serious question. Do you believe in aliens?
I'd like to believe in something greater than myself, greater than ourselves.
I don't know. I feel like you're not too sure about that one.
I think if there is alien life out there, it won't resemble anything you've ever seen in a film.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Because
that's the power of the human imagination.
Right. They have to make something that we can somewhat relate to. If it's just some kind of amorphous blob, then we're just going to be like, ugh. So it needs to have some human characteristics, or we're just not going to like it very much. Humans are weird like that. We'll be like,
If there's only life out there, it's going to be very, 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 very small.
Right. Yeah, or we would just never know it if we saw it. But thank you very much for talking to me today. I really appreciate it. It was an honor to speak with you, and it's so cool to get to ask you the stuff that I've been wondering since I was like 5 years old. So thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
It was my absolute pleasure.
Have a great day, and hopefully the weather gets a little bit better.
All right, take care.
See you later, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, party people, that's about it for today. Ian is an awesome dude. Make sure to follow him on social media, see what he's up to. We got a bunch more crazy guests coming up really soon, so please stick around for that. Please follow the page, and also check out our sponsors. Shout out to my people at Radzilla Skateboards. They hooked me up with the shirt I was wearing in this episode, and they also sent me a skateboard, which is awesome, so hit them up on Instagram. Also, if you're into hats like I am, make sure to hit up the Old Hat Shop on Instagram. They have vintage hats that look brand new that are from the 90s and the 80s, and they are dope. And if you like sunglasses like the ones I'm wearing in this episode or in Popsicle World, make sure to hit up Filthy Shades. They got you covered.
And if you have a hype beast deep inside your heart, make sure to hit up Soulsphing. They have amazing sneakers. Check them out.
Also, if you live on the Gulf Coast and need a pool or hot tub fixed, make sure to hit up Emerald Coast Pools. They will hook you up. Before you go, I just wanted to show you this really cool shirt that I got in the mail just a couple minutes ago. It's Gilliman with like a punk rock jacket, and it's my favorite thing in the entire universe. So, it also came with a card, and the card says, if you'd like to give a shout out, please direct folks to duckyboardmanart.bigcartel.com. So, that's exactly what I'm doing. So, check out the website, get you some cool art that you can like actually wear, and help support artists like this guy. So thank you guys very much for watching. I got some great surprises coming up, so stick around, and thank you for watching.